Wow. What do we think of that? Cool? Yeah? Liked it? I'll confess that I recently signed up for an improv class back home in the US, and this looked like a much cooler way to do it, I think. So, second guessing it a little bit. As we can see, a lot is happening right now when AI leaves the screen and hits the real world, and in this next case, actually hits the road. Joining us remotely is someone at the forefront of this transformation. Uh, Specifically, we have Alex Kendall, the co-founder and CEO at Wayve, company pioneering AI-driven, assisted, and automated driving technology. And soon we should be able to see Alex up here on this screen. Alex, how are you doing today?
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us in some way. So the funny part here, that's kind of funny and kind of not, is that Alex is actually based here, but as you can see, he's not here next to me right now. He is in San Francisco Bay Area in the US. Alex, why don't you fill us in on what are you doing right now in the US?
Hey, sorry everyone, I'm missing the party, but yeah, I'm over in our office in the Bay Area, and it's been the most amazing global expansion year for Wave. Just a year ago, our AI was only driving in central London, which is mostly 20 miles an hour speed limit. It's actually quite complex, and the intelligence you need to negotiate with other road users is quite extreme in London, where we found out that it has 9 times more jaywalkers in San Francisco, if you want a stat. Um, Over the last year, we've been able to launch our dev fleets through Germany, the US, and now Japan, and have started working with automakers around the world. So it's been a really exciting year of seeing our AI scale uh, to cities around the world, and of course, get ever closer to launching this into consumer vehicles.
Um, Alex, your company raised $1 billion last year from SoftBank and others, and I'm just gonna tell myself that that's what you're doing in the U.S. right now. You're raising another $1 billion. So um, uh, you don't have to
Always fun.
you don't have to comment. Perfect. Alex, I think a lot of companies, a lot of people here based in the UK will know Wave, but can you just help us understand how the technology your company uh, has been innovating on is differentiated from others in the space, maybe a Waymo or a Tesla or competitors in China?
Yeah, of course. When I think about the future of robotics, I imagine machines that have the intelligence to make their own decisions, that they can deal with things they've never seen before, and of course, act in a way that's safe and something that we can trust to delegate tasks to. And for me, that's all about building an AI system that can understand the physical world and make these kind of decisions. When I started Wave about 8 years ago, autonomous driving was focusing on building infrastructure like high definition maps and hand coding how vehicles should drive. And to me, that wasn't the way the technology was going to scale. So we set off 8 years ago to go and build an end-to-end deep learning approach to autonomous driving. We were fortunate to be the first to build a reinforcement learning system that could learn to drive on the road, first to have a system that drove in urban on public roads in a city like London. And now in 2023, we were the first to put a large language model on the road that could understand and you could talk to it while it drives, as well as build a generative world model that could simulate the complexities of urban and global driving. So it's really been a journey of building out this technology. And we're at the point now where it's remarkable. You can jump in our car in all of these places around the world and it drives in a way that's safe and human-like. Uh, and so now we have the opportunity to deploy this across many different fleets and automakers. And the benefit of this approach is it really does generalize. It doesn't need high definition maps for each new place you go to. And it can learn to drive different vehicles from cars to vans without needing changing
So,
significant changes with the
so that is the advantage you see, which is that your technology might be able to help a car drive um, with with assistance or maybe someday fully autonomously in London as well as Japan as well as highways in the Bay Area um, without much modification. Is it? And are we understanding that correctly?
Spot on, Jason. So whether it's a hands-off driver assistance system or a robo-taxi, they're all going to leverage our foundation model that shares the learning from all of this experience. Now, here's the real magic bit. 2 years ago, we couldn't even have conversations with automakers. But in the last 2 years, we've seen this maturation of, well, firstly, excitement in AI and I think conviction in what we've been able to build. But also, we've seen software-defined vehicles come to market where most of the high-end today and very soon mass market vehicles that are being produced have a GPU on board. They have surround cameras, surround radar, maybe a forward-facing LiDAR. They have the right hardware to operate a lean and efficient AI stack like ours.
Let's
So that means,
let's just talk quickly about your Nissan partnership, which was just signed, I believe, or announced last month. Is that correct? And
yeah,
so,
that's right.
can you explain briefly what that partnership means? It's your first with an automaker. Like you were alluded to, it's taken, I think, 7 or 8 years since your founding to get that first. Can you explain why it's taken that long, and then what does this partnership actually mean in reality?
Yeah, we've been on a deep tech journey, which has required us to solve a lot of frontier problems in embodied AI science. But then there's also been this sort of joint collision of our and automotive roadmaps where the technology is ready, but then also consumer vehicles have the right infrastructure and capabilities to be able to bring this to market. And with a partner like Nissan, I'm super excited about the ambition they have. We announced that from 2027, Nissan vehicles will have our technology and then will enable a hands-off driving system that can go through point-to-point complex urban environments, highways, can help improve the safety and comfort of those driving experiences.
So Nissan cars on the road in 2027 will have your technology in it. And this is, I think in the industry, this is called a level 2 technology. What does that mean exactly? A driver will need to be alert as your
Yeah, it means
technology operates?
hands off the thing. So you can take your hands off the wheel, feet off the pedals, and let the system drive, but you need to monitor it. And we quickly as possible want to leverage the experience from that to grow up eyes off, where you can actually get time back. You could take a call, be on your phone, read a book, or sleep, or something like this. Before, of course, robotaxis, which are going to allow you to not even need to take liability for driving at all.
So you're in the San Francisco Bay Area right now, and a certain company named Waymo has been out on the road with, I think, fully autonomous ride-hailing services. I- I'm curious what kind of pressures, and I know they have a different model, but what kind of pressures that puts on you um, to make either more of these auto deals happen or to just speed up sort of commercial progress overall.
The robotaxi vehicles that you see driving in San Francisco, Shanghai, and some of these places around the world are typically low volume vehicles with retrofitted sensors on them. Whereas what we're talking about is natively working with mass produced vehicles through a software delivery. We license our AI to these vehicles. I mean, Nissan produce over 2 million cars a year. They're one of the 10 largest automakers. And with partners like that, our ambition is to see this. We talk about being not first to one city, but first to 100 cities at Wave. We want to see autonomy truly reach scale and break through the kind of glass ceilings that AV 1.0 has had so far. I think with embodied AI, you can build a system that is affordable, scalable, and safe to drive in a global setting on mass-produced vehicles.
I want to just make sure all of you know that I think we will still attempt to do some questions from the audience if you have them. So please raise your hand and I'll get to you. But I have plenty more. I'll come back. I'll come back to you all as you think of some. Where are the first places where you think your technology makes sense to operate? I know you talked about generalization and the first to 100, but 2027, 2028, what are the markets where car owners should be, excited about the possibility of your technology being inside their own vehicle?
Well, I'll answer that question in a second, but let me just share one fun anecdote from when we scaled our system forward. So we started learning in London, of course. When we took it to the US and San Francisco, we had to learn things like to drive on the right side of the road. And in the US, you have a right turn at red light. You're allowed to turn right at a red light. It's really interesting to see us then take our system to Germany, it learned much more efficiently because it had already learned to drive on the right side of the road and it had seen more diverse experience, but it had to learn to unlearn the right turn at red light and ultimately end up learning all the different combinations around the world. But what we see today is the system performs fairly uniformly around everywhere we operate, learning from data in each different market that we're in. So from a technology perspective, not necessarily really any difference around the world. Maybe when you think about snow or some more extreme weather conditions, there are more challenges. But again, this just becomes a data problem with AV 2.0. It's all about machine learning. So it really then comes down to market economics and regulation. I think how this is going to evolve. I really can't wait for it to come to my home country in New Zealand, but I think naturally we will start in big markets, the US, Japan, Europe, big automotive markets, and grow from there.
Not here where I'm currently sitting today.
Europe and the UK.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. I probably missed that. Any questions from you all? We have a couple questions here, Alex, so we're going to try to make that happen.
Fire away.
Could start in the back and then we'll work up here.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody. My name's Tom Whitaker. I'm a lawyer at Burgess Salmon in the UK. You mentioned about the importance of regulations for your future success. What are you looking for from an effective regulatory framework and effective regulators?
Oh, that's a great question. I've actually been, if you take a step back, it's been really exciting to see how proactive regulation has been for autonomy. I mean, the technology is still nascent, yet we have mature regulation in many places around the world. We were fortunate enough to help the government pass the Automated Vehicles Act 2024 in the UK last year. But what we're really looking for is two things. One is clarity, and the second is global harmonization. We do a lot of work with the UNECE. We co-chair the industry body there, and having that body essentially regulate most major markets outside the US and China for automotive regulations, and it's great to have that all harmonized. In the US, you currently have a state-by-state system. Again, we would look for ideally a federal system, or even better, something aligned with the UN and global. But as much as it can be harmonized. And then secondly, about setting clear expectations. This is really helpful on the marketing front to avoid, when you think about building trust with robots and embodied AI, it's all about setting and meeting the right expectation. So having that clearly laid out, clear views on liability, I think these can be really helpful. But the good news is that the UN has made great progress for driver assistance and soon robotaxis, and the UK has put in place primary legislation for us last year. And within 2 years, that should be fully enacted and operational.
We have another questions here. Just tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Amrita. I work for Cinemedia, and you spoke about market economics and regulation. In all of your learning, I like your anecdote about how your AI systems have learned in different countries. Do you see any need for a change in infrastructure, or is your system built that infrastructure isn't a dependency and it will work on roads and layouts as they are today? Or is there a future city that is more AI autonomous vehicles first rather than what we have today?
There are a couple of often misnomers. Like one of the big ones I often get is synthetic data can replace real world data. But of course, today the best synthetic data is generative AI, which needs real world data to train the systems. And so these things aren't true. But similarly with thoughts that you need 4 or 5G for autonomy, you need to change cities. No, that's not the case. The technology that we're building learns to drive just like we do with the infrastructure that we currently have in our cities. It slows down for potholes. It can navigate in places it hasn't been to before and has everything on board the car it needs for safety operation. And so it does not need a live data connection to operate. However, once autonomy is out there and becomes a prevalent part of vehicles, I think there are a bunch of opportunities to help improve cities beyond this and make our streets even more healthy. But there's going to be quite a long period of penetration of this technology before you start to see some of those kind of changes. And you can imagine, when you think about the way that junctions work, traffic lights work, when you can communicate with vehicles more reliably, could you optimize those? Or perhaps speed limits, which are largely designed with safety in mind. When we vastly improve road safety by orders of magnitude, how can you look at changes there And in fact, most congestion is due to road accidents today. And again, when we are able to vastly improve road safety, how does this change road patterns and transportation? And so there's a bunch of secondary opportunities, but first we need to focus on actually getting this technology out so the world can benefit from it. And that'll happen with the existing infrastructure.
Alex, I have another one on my end. There's a pretty large US-based automaker named Tesla, and a certain tech leader running that company and making promises about autonomous robotaxis in the next year or so. I'm curious, at a high level, there are some comparisons between your technology approach and theirs. And I'm curious, what, if anything, have you learned from Tesla's approach and or observing their evolution in this field? And where have you decided is a different or better path?
Well, look, it was gratifying to see Tesla pivot to the technical strategy we're taking after many years ago. Elon told me this would never work. But we do share today a lot in common in our strategy of using end-to-end learning for driving. It's really the two of us that have been pushing this forward and driving without any high-definition maps. Some of the also the fact that we think that it's important, critical in fact, to have consumer vehicles at scale to be able to leverage that data to actually build a safe and generalizable autonomy. These are the things we share. One of the key differences is that we are much more sensor agnostic. And so while I think a camera-first, a predominantly camera approach is the right way to go forward, having redundant sensing, mostly radar, maybe a forward-facing LiDAR, I think can really help speed and quality of the system, particularly if you go from hands-off to eyes-off or robotaxis. And so we are working on solutions that have redundant sensing capabilities. And because of that, I think I will be able to offer a much safer experience.
Have you told Elon, "I told you so" yet? Or are you saving that for a rainy day when you're acquired or public on a market?
That'll be a fun Twitter post one day. But look, I think this is such a hard problem. One of the key values we have at our company is humility and really not assuming we know the solution, because it always surprises you. It's one of the greatest engineering problems there is today. And I think this movement into the age of autonomy, where we have intelligent machines that we can delegate so many tasks to, is going to be one of the most profound shifts we go through. And there's certainly going to be more challenges on the road to make it a reality. So we're going to stay humble for now.
For now, okay, that's good. Stay humble. I have one question, and then we'll get you in the audience up here real quick. The Nissan deal, is it exclusive in any way? And either way, what is the biggest challenge to more deals in the future?
Our intention and path forward is to really see this embodied AI as a platform across automakers and fleets. And so we've designed it in a way that's generalizable, flexible. We can work with different SoCs, different vehicles in different countries. Having it out there at scale will enable automakers to build the driving experience and products they want to on top of that. And we're really excited about seeing that go out broadly across the market. And in general, I think that this will become more safe and performant than what any one automaker can build vertically, because the scale is just going to be so much larger. So that's really exciting to us. What's rate limiting things today? Look, automotive integration, there's a reason why the industry prides itself in quality and reliability, because the scale of validation that you need to do in these products, and that we and our partners are doing before launching it to make sure we can trust the results is of course vast. And so we're working through that with our partners, but it'll be gradually and then suddenly all at once. This will be a predominant technology across fleets in the next couple of years.
Alex, unfortunately, we're all out of time. We'll have to do this again, sitting next to each other. Thank you for making it work.
See you soon. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, everyone.